I wanted to talk about one word tonight, and the word is aroha. Aroha. And I'm sure most of you have heard it before. You might have seen it on a t-shirt or whatever. Does anyone know what aroha means? Love. L-O-V-E. I love you, you love me. Right? Yeah, awesome. So it's one of those words that's kind of been woven into, I would say, society's fabric here in New Zealand. It's one of our cultural words. It belongs to all of us, and it's one that I think we should live and die by all the time. And use, every single day, if we use aroha to kind of be a guide to make decisions, then I think we'd all be better off. But I wanted to actually talk about what the word means, because it is often translated as love, which it is. But love in English, for me, carries a whole bunch of baggage. And, I think Hugh Grant, rom-com, the four-letter word, definitely don't want to say it in the first sort of 6 or 7 weeks of going out with someone. It carries a whole bunch of baggage with it. And so we're often really reluctant to use it. And aroha, for me, doesn't carry that same sort of baggage. It's slightly different, right? I didn't understand that, but I'm sure I agree, absolutely. So aroha is actually made up of 2 words. The first one is aro, A-R-O, aro, which means to focus or to understand or to digest or to really hone in on something, right? So that's aro. And then the second part of that word is ha, and ha is breath. Okay, but it's not like actually just breath. It's a metaphor for what someone's trying to say, what they're trying to express. What someone's trying to lay down and kind of get off their shoulders. So that's ha. So when you put those 2 things together, you have aroha, which actually means, aroha can manifest itself in so many different ways. I can have aroha for you. I can have aroha for my mum, for my dad, for my daughter, for my wife, for my friends. And all of that aroha can look different on any different day. And that's the point. You can have aroha for strangers, but you might not sort of describe, you might not think that you could have love for strangers. And that's the difference. So, aroha can look like, when you see someone walking around with that kind of world on their, they look like they're carrying the world on their shoulders and they just look like they need a hand up. Sometimes aroha can look like giving them a hug. Sometimes aroha could look like sitting next to the guy on the park bench who just looks like he's having a rough day. Sometimes aroha could be you standing in front of someone and letting them just vent whatever's going on, whatever they need to get off their chest, you standing there and listening, that can be aroha sometimes. Or sometimes they might want some advice, so they're asking you some questions and you giving your answers or giving your kind of, your viewpoint on something, that could be aroha. And then, of course, we've still got the, the romantic aroha as well, which is sort of, in the bedroom. But, the point is, aroha can take on so many different so many different faces, so many different masks, in so many different contexts. And so, the point is, if we use aroha, especially right now, like these are testing times for us as a society, right? We've got all of these different questions about race and equality and all these sorts of things. But the point is that we use aroha, which is our thing. No one can stake claim to that. No offense to the Aussies in the room, but aroha is uniquely New Zealand. That is our word. That we own that word. No one else, for anywhere else around the world, can stake claim to that. Love, absolutely. Aroha, nah, that's ours. So as New Zealanders, all of us, we all need to embrace aroha, and we need to use aroha as a tool to help us make decisions on a daily basis. So aro ki te ha. Take the time out of your day to listen, to understand, to digest, to take in what the person in front of you is trying to say. And if we do that every single day, we'll be all right. Nō reira, e te iwi, aroha te tahi ki te tahi. Show aroha for one another. Sure, that's me. Pō Māori e.